Always do. And let's start off with the questions. You can just tell us your name and your question.
I forgot my paper. I don't care.
Well, that's never happened before. Do you have some kind of question that you'd like to ask?
Gang? No, I don't.
No, no question. Okay, let's go to the next person.
Do you think the Steelers are going to make it to the playoffs?
Do I think the Steelers will make it to the playoffs? Yes, I do. They're 7-3 right now. They're leading their division, the AFC North, by a game over Baltimore. They've already beaten Baltimore once this year. They do have another game in Baltimore in a few weeks, but right now they're up in their division. I believe they'll hold that lead, even if they do go down to Baltimore and lose later in the season. I believe Baltimore will probably lose a couple more games as well. So I do think that the Steelers will make the playoffs. Yes. Thank you.
Who is the best on the Peters Township football team?
The best player in the Peters Township football team. You know, I hate to, especially when I'm talking about high school kids, to pick out somebody who I want to say is the best. I believe they have a number of good players, and football really is a team sport. So I think that you know, to pick out somebody would be to you know, I guess overlooking somebody else. So I hate to pick out, especially in high school students, you know, one player over another.
Do you like it when your team wins and not yours?
My team, you know, I really don't have a team that I cover. I cover the Steelers for the Observer Reporter, but you know, as sports writers, we're really not allowed to. You know, we really have to distance ourselves from that. I do coach some youth sports, so in that respect, those are my teams, and yes, I do like it when we win.
Do you think the Pirates would win the next World Series?
Well, I think it would be very difficult. The Pirates haven't won a World Series since 1979, and at that point, I wasn't much older than you guys, so it's been that long. The market, the way the baseball is set up, makes it very difficult for a small market team like the Pirates to compete. Obviously, they have to do a better job of drafting and scouting, and they have to be a little more judicial in who they sign as free agents. It's a little more difficult for them because they're not a big money team. So it is difficult for them to do say what the Yankees or the Red Sox, you know, those kind of teams do, is win every year because they go out and buy the best free agents available. But no, I don't think the Pirates will win the World Series next year. Maybe if we're fortunate here in the area, they'll be competing for a World Series championship within the next 5 seasons. But they have some work to do. Thank you.
Do you think the Steelers will win their next game?
Do I think they'll win their next game? Well, their next game is going to be Thursday night against the Cincinnati Bengals at Heinz Field. I do believe that they'll win that game. You know, even though it is a short week, it's a short week for both teams. Cincinnati's traveling here, which means they have one less day of practice and preparation to get ready for the game than the Steelers do. And I just think the Steelers are a better team than the Bengals. The Bengals are 1-8-1. The Steelers are 7-3. So yeah, I do believe that the Steelers will win that game.
Do you think the Giants are going to the Super Bowl?
Well, I'll tell you what, the Giants look very good right now, and you know, they're rolling right along. They're of course the defending Super Bowl champions. But the one thing that you learn in the NFL is to never assume that anybody's going to win. I think a lot of people assumed last year that the Patriots were going to win the Super Bowl after they ran through the regular season undefeated, and obviously that didn't happen. But the Giants do look like the best team in the NFC right now. I don't think there's any question about that. And you know, they're a good shot to make the Super Bowl. Yes.
What is your favorite professional football team?
My favorite professional football team was, as I kind of mentioned earlier, as somebody who covers the NFL, we're not really, you know, we kind of put the rooting interest aside, you know, a long time ago. This is my 16th season of covering the Steelers, so you know, I'm around that team all the time. Growing up, I was a fan of the Detroit Lions because I liked some of their players. I was a big Billy Sims fan. Liked him when he was coming out of Oklahoma, and that kind of dates me a little bit there. But that was the team that I rooted for growing up. Of course, growing up in Western Pennsylvania, I watched the Steelers a little bit because they were the team that was on TV all the time. But growing up, I was a Detroit Lions fan. Thanks.
Who do you think is the best tennis player?
The best tennis player? Well, that's a tough question. Now, are you talking women's or men's?
Women.
Women? Well, there's a lot of very good players out there. I think that if I had to pick one, I'd probably stick with the American and say Serena Williams, just because I'm from the United States and I like to see the United States players do well. But there are a number of good players out there, and women's tennis has really been much more competitive over the last decade than men's tennis, and particularly here in the United States, we've had some good players, but I would probably say Serena Williams. Thank you.
What was the first sport you ever played? Did you like it, and why?
The first sport I ever played, boy, that's tough, because there's a lot of different things that are considered sports that you wouldn't think about that would be sports. Like, even if you just go in your backyard and kick a ball around, I guess that would be considered a sport, or running, would be considered a sport. The first competitive sport that I played would be basketball, and I did like it. I still play, in fact, as much as possible, and played up through college. So. That would be my favorite sport, but I played a number of different sports growing up, and that's something that you should do. Thanks for the great questions, and kids, you guys have asked some great questions. When we come back, we're going to continue with the questions with the Bower Hill Elementary 3rd grade students here on The Last Word in Sports.
How far would you go to help someone? Would you go to the end of your driveway? Would you cross a street? Would you cross an ocean? To a place 6,000 miles from home? How long would you go? Would you go for a week, a month, a year? Would you go for 2 years? Would you go if you could use your knowledge to teach someone, and in the process, maybe learn something yourself? Life is calling. How far will you go? Peace Corps.
Township Community Television.
If you've had a stroke, the chances are good that you could have another one. But it doesn't have to happen. You could be a stroke smart star.
I'm eating healthy and I'm exercising again.
I'm keeping my blood pressure and cholesterol levels under control.
After 35 years, I quit smoking.
I always take my medicine.
If you take steps to improve your health, you'll greatly reduce your risk of another stroke. Talk to your doctor and go to stroke.org today.
I'm not going to have another stroke.
And welcome back to The Last Word in Sports. I'm Dale Lolley, the Observer reporter in Washington. I'm here today with the 3rd grade students at Bower Hill Elementary here in Peters Township. And guys, you guys are asking some great questions, and we're going to get back to the questions right now. Go ahead.
Do you think Big Ben will get hurt this season?
Well, I did think going into the season, he has been a guy who has gotten injured throughout his career, little nicks and missing a game here or there. Because of the way he plays. He's been playing hurt pretty much all season long, so he's had a separated shoulder. So, I don't think he's going to get hurt to the point where he misses any game time. They may rest him down the stretch if they get a lead on Baltimore and have the division locked up. They may sit him in the last game or something like that. But he's proven to be pretty durable, not missing any real time with the shoulder injury. But there's always that chance in football that you will get hurt.
Thank you.
Thank you.
In 06, how did the Steelers get into the Super Bowl?
Well, it was a pretty crazy run. That was actually in 05, the 06 beginning of the calendar year. They won four games in a row on the road, including the Super Bowl. They won just some crazy games. If you remember the Indianapolis game, they won. Ben Roethlisberger had to tackle to save the game, and the Mike Vanderjagt from Indianapolis missed a field goal. It was just a crazy run, and they're one of only a couple of wild card teams that have made it to the Super Bowl and won the Super Bowl, and the only team that has won all three of their playoff games on the road to win a Super Bowl. And as somebody who was along for the ride on that was a pretty crazy run. Thanks.
Do you think the Steelers will make it to the Super Bowl?
Well, at the beginning of the season, I thought they had a chance. I thought there were a couple of teams that would be better this year than what they have been. I thought Jacksonville would be a team that would make a run at the Super Bowl. That was actually my pick at the beginning of the year. But certainly, I think the Steelers have a very good chance. I believe it will be. There's probably three teams that I would look at. It would be Indianapolis, Tennessee, and Pittsburgh. I think are the three front runners in the AFC. And I give the Steelers a better than even chance of winning because of their defense.
How many goals did the Penguins team score this season so far?
Well, I didn't check the standings today as I was coming in on how many goals they've scored, but they do have one of the more explosive scoring teams in the league. The Penguins are playing very good hockey right now. They have two of the game's bright young stars in Evgeny Malkin and Sidney Crosby, and they're a team that is built to score points, and they certainly do that.
What is your favorite football team and why?
My favorite football team, well, I'd probably have to go to college football because, as I said before, as somebody who covers the NFL, we really don't have favorites. You just kind of watch the league and report on it. As far as college football, I went to the University of Pittsburgh, so I guess I'd be a University of Pittsburgh fan. They're playing better football this year than they have in previous years, and are a top 25 team, which is nice for a change. Thanks.
Why is why is fourth place called home plate?
Well, because you're trying to get home, you want to get back to the home area, and I guess over the years it just became he's going to run home as as it were. You're getting a chance to score a run, and it just kind of became part of the language of the game that you're scoring at home. You're running the home plate or home base, as it were.
In the Cincinnati-Philadelphia game before that, did you ever know there was such thing as a tie in the NFL?
Actually, I covered the last tie football game in the regular season. Before that, the Steelers actually tied the Atlanta Falcons back in, I believe it was 2003, and that would have been the 2004 season. They all run together. 2004 season at Heinz Field. That was the previous tie game in the NFL in the regular season, and I actually covered that game. So, yeah, I did know that there were ties in football.
In soccer, if someone makes a goal on a kickoff without anybody touching the ball, is it a goal?
Is it a goal? Sure, why not? It goes in the net.
No, it's not.
I'm wrong?
Uh-huh.
Okay. If you say so.
Who do you think will win the Stanley Cup this year?
Well, I think that the Pittsburgh Penguins have a very good chance. They have a young team, and I think they learned a lot last year in their playoff run. Even though they didn't win, I think that they took the necessary steps and maybe learned a little something about themselves as a team. And I think they have a better than chance than most to win the Stanley Cup.
Okay. How many timeouts does each team get?
In what sport?
Football.
In football, teams get 3 timeouts per half that they can use, and of course, if they have a challenge that is overturned, they lose one of those timeouts. But they each get 3 in a half, and if they use them, they don't carry over. So that's why you see a lot of teams maybe use their timeouts at the end of halves, because they don't get to take them into the second half, so they might as well use them.
Who's your favorite player on the Steelers football team?
Well, my favorite player, I really don't have a favorite as somebody who writes about the team. I do have a number of guys who I'm friendly with and speak to on a regular basis. Troy Polamalu is a very good guy. Willie Parker is a good guy that I talk to a good bit. Aaron Smith is somebody who I speak to and is and somewhat friendly with. So those will probably be the guys that I talk to the most.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Who's is the best football team in the pros?
The best football team? Well, the New York Giants are the defending Super Bowl champions. So I guess until somebody else wins the Super Bowl, I would have to say the Giants. They've only lost 1 game this year, and I know Tennessee's unbeaten, but I think the Giants have played a tougher schedule, and I'd have to say that they're still the best until somebody beats them.
Thanks.
Who's the best soccer player?
The best soccer player? Well, the best soccer player is a tough question, because that's a subjective thing. Certainly, there are a number of very good soccer players. There are a number of good soccer players here at Peters Township. Your boys and girls high school teams both went to the state championships, and even though they didn't win, there's still something to be said about having both teams in the state championship game. Guys, when we come back, we have one more scheduled segment here, and we'll take some more questions on the Last Word in Sports from the students at Bower Hill Elementary, 3rd grade. When the Last Word in
If you see abuse or neglect, learn what you can do at BeHumane.org.
Do you know a young woman with severe joint and chest pain, fever, skin rashes, and overwhelming fatigue? Common symptoms for a challenging ailment. Lupus. A very serious, sometimes deadly immune disorder. Lupus affects millions of people, usually attacking women during their childbearing years. Symptoms are often misdiagnosed for years. Delay in treatment can cost someone you love their family or their life. The Lupus Foundation of America wants to end this by educating physicians as well as those people at risk. Please help.
AmeriCorps Hero. Kathy sat with frustration, looking for a way to make a difference.
I want to help people. I want to make a difference. I want to get things done.
Then she saw something.
Could I be a hero?
She had to apply.
I should give this a try.
A few weeks later, she was accepted into AmeriCorps.
I'm an AmeriCorps member now. My service gear. I look sharp.
Away she went to training. There she met people who shared her passion, people who wanted to make change, people who joined AmeriCorps.
All these people are heroes too. I'm off to serve.
They painted houses, they made friends, they prepared for disaster. They served people in need. They cleaned beaches, they helped wildlife. Together they served, together they made a difference. Together they were heroes.
In AmeriCorps, you can be a hero too.
Join AmeriCorps.
Great students at Bower Hill Elementary. Kids, give yourselves a hand. You guys are asking some great questions. And go ahead.
How did the Steelers win 5 Super Bowls?
Well, they beat the teams on their schedule. Back in the 70s, the Steelers had a very good group of players that they were able to keep for a long time, and they won 4 Super Bowls in 6 seasons. They went back to a Super Bowl in 1995, lost that game to Dallas, but came back in 2005 and won that Super Bowl, beating Seattle. So, they've had a pretty good run of success in the Super Bowl era with 5 championships. Before that, the Steelers had never won a championship prior to the Super Bowl era. They've been one of the more successful teams in the Super Bowl era, and have a shot to win another one this year.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Will Tennessee be 19-0?
I don't think Tennessee will go 19-0. I think that they're a very good team. I think that their schedule has kind of been a little soft this season, I don't think that they're quite on par with that New England team that we saw last year that knocked off a lot of the top contenders in the NFL on their run through 16-0. It's very difficult to win week in and week out in the NFL because the teams are so closely matched talent-wise, and I don't think that this Tennessee team is a 19-0 team. I don't. Thanks.
Thank you. Do you think that our Steelers team will do good without Heath Miller?
Without Heath Miller, the Steelers are 1-1 without Heath Miller and have struggled to score points a little bit. There is a good chance that he could be back this week against Cincinnati. His ankle injury is getting better, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Heath Miller play this week against Cincinnati. So, but they did struggle a little bit without him, and he's an integral part of what they do, both blocking and catching the ball.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Who's the better rookie running back, Darren McFadden or Steve Slayton?
Well, I'd have to say right now Steve Slayton, because Darren McFadden hasn't played a whole lot. Steve Slayton is a kid from West Virginia who was a later round draft pick than Darren McFadden, but he's certainly stepped into Houston's lineup and done a very good job of running the football and had another big game this week against Indianapolis with over 150 yards. So, he's done it week in and week out and stayed healthy, which was something he had trouble doing at West Virginia. And Darren McFadden's been a guy who's been banged up throughout the season. So I'd have to say Steve Slayton right now. Now, maybe in the future that won't be the case. Maybe Darren McFadden, being a high draft pick and somebody who was the number 1 running back taken in this year's draft, will be a better running back down the road. But right now, Slayton is the better running back.
Okay, thank you.
What year did the Steelers win their first Super Bowl, and who did they beat?
The Steelers won their first Super Bowl back in 1975, which is long before any of you guys were on the planet. They beat the Minnesota Vikings. So, that was a long, long time ago. And, ancient history, I believe I was about your age at that time, so maybe a little bit younger than that. So, it's a long time ago. And, if you see film from those games, the players wore the face masks that with the 1 bars and just 2 bars. It was a totally different game then than what it is now.
Thank you.
Thanks.
If girls could play national football, what position would they play?
Well, I think that if they were good enough to play in a National Football League, I don't think it would matter what position they would play, whatever position they were capable of playing. I wouldn't be surprised at some point that if we saw a girl play kicker in the NFL. I mean, that's a possibility. You see more and more of that with teams having girls who are kickers on their football team. Chartiers Houston this year had a girl who was a kicker on their football team. A few years ago, Jefferson Morgan High School down in Greene County had a girl who was an offensive lineman for them. So, I mean, it's just a matter of having a girl who's talented enough and strong enough, to play the position. Certainly, anybody who's seen a Pittsburgh Passion game has seen some girls or female players who have some ability there. But the NFL is the best players at their jobs in the world. There are other minor football leagues out there. And lots of men out there who aren't good enough to play in the NFL, and certainly it's no knock on women that they aren't good enough to play in the NFL, because these guys are the best of the best. Thanks.
Thank you. In wrestling, is all the violent stuff real? Why or why not?
In professional wrestling?
Yes.
Well, no. Most of the violence in professional wrestling is not real. You know, if you hit somebody over the head with a chair, in real life, they're going to get hurt. The wrestlers have ways of making it look real when it's not real. Some of the stuff is real. Sometimes when they hit each other, they actually do hit each other, and it's mostly by accident. They're not supposed to. But these guys are highly trained athletes. They learn how to tumble and they learn how to fall and take a hit. So most of it is not real. That's why you probably shouldn't try that at home.
Thank you.
Do you think Matt Castle will end the season good?
Well, you know, Matt Castle's been something of a surprise. He's the quarterback for the New England Patriots. He's filled in for Tom Brady, and he's done an admirable job. He's certainly not Tom Brady. He's not as good as Tom Brady, but there aren't many on the planet who are as good as Tom Brady. But Castle has played well for the Patriots. Will he continue to play well for them? You know, I do believe that at some point, when he plays good teams on the road, which it looks like that's where the Patriots are going to have to go at some point, I think he'll struggle, and I think that will be the downfall of the Patriots this year. But he's played well at this point, better than most expected. Thanks.
Thank you.
Oh, well, I guess that's it, guys. You guys asked some great questions today, and I really appreciate you coming out here. The third-grade students at Bower Hill Elementary. For them, I'm Dale Lolley. Thanks for watching The Last Word in Sports.